Salutations everyone, this is Razor bringing you guys another Overwatch video where today we're going to be talking about the healer role in the new 2-2-2 role lock meta. As I mentioned before in my predictions that healers were going to be affected the least, I definitely think it's safe to say that they are affected the least, because the healer role has always been very flexible and provides high utility with whatever you need. Do you need speed boost? Do you need Discord? Do you need the Bionade? Do you need res? You need the the immortality field. So there's always been something that the healers have been able to do to enable the team to win. We try to carry as best we can, but there definitely are some differences in the role queue in people's behaviors, and maybe that's just because we're in the beta season and a lot of people know that these stats will not count, that these things will disappear after this little mini beta season and will not affect your rankings for the first official season with role queue in it. And obviously people are playing with Sigma, so you definitely see a lot of him, and Sigma is definitely will change things from the healer's perspective. Sigma is a really good way to stifle Ana and what she can do, because if he puts that shield in front of her, he can block an incoming grenade very quickly. He can also obviously eat it with his grasp, and denying line of sight to the targets, like a Winston bubble. Instead of, getting dove on, he can just have the shield dive you all by itself. And the roles that, or the characters that I should say, out of the healing roles that have, I think, benefited the most from this change are Baptiste and Ana. Now, all characters, will gain something from this role lock meta, because you have only two people can throw on DPS, right? But there are still going to be, certain compositions that you're going to be seeing more often that will dictate the kind of healers that you want. So if I'm playing defense, right, in a bunker with Roadhog Orisa or Sigma Orisa or Diva Orisa, I'm probably going to be playing Baptiste, especially if we're on a big choke like, say, Eichenwald defense, as I posted in my last video. That is fantastic. So if you're holding on 2 CP on defense, Baptiste is a fantastic pick. But let's say Baptiste is already taken, or you don't like playing Baptiste, Ana is always going to be good. Mercy is going to have that res ability to pick up your boy, as I get murked the one and only time here on this attack, and making the Discord work. Speaking of Zenyatta definitely is not looking good. He hasn't been looking good for quite some time. Obviously, yes, he can still work. I'm making it work in this game. And the more space, the better. Obviously, he can get dove very hard by Genjis and Doomfist, but he gets dove on the hardest by Wrecking Ball. But you don't see very many Wrecking Balls, and those that don't have very good target acquisition. If you're playing Wrecking Ball, you either want to harass the tanks or just destroy the healers. You don't really, meddle in big grouped up fights and things like that, or go after certain DPS. At Soldier, you can definitely dive for free, but there's others you don't want to mess with. And don't dive at Brigitte, because she's the toughest thing for Wrecking Ball to deal with. And Brigitte's change, I will make a separate video about that. I think that definitely warrants its own discussion, but I think she's alright. She's alright in control maps where it's going to be close quarters. Her healing output is actually just fine. It honestly is. You can output the average amount for a main healer. I don't think it's fair to call her a main healer. I wouldn't want Brig Zen, for instance, or even Brig Mercy, with the way that things have shifted and the behaviors of the game. That's just not enough healing. You need to have a Moira, an Ana, or a Baptiste. And one of the big things that a lot of people still haven't grasped is that Baptiste is a main healer. He is a main healer. This dude can output insane amounts of healing. I've had great games with Ana where I'm not dying and my teammate Baptiste is out healing me. I've had and he has that fastest charging of the healers' ults. Except for maybe Moira, but on average, right? On average, in most cases, Baptiste will have a better time at charging that ultimate. Obviously, that ultimate isn't the greatest out of all of the healers. It has, some utility, and it'll help you, one burst a squishy, or, if you have the space or a shield in front of you to output a ton of healing. But Baptiste is very good. I think he fits in most places. I wouldn't play him on Control, where you might have the only opportunity to play Lucio, because Lucio and Zen are the ones that are really struggling to find a place as healers right now, which I think is safe to say has always been the case, right? There are niche ways in order to implement them. Obviously, the top 2% of players, they can get the most out of, anything that they want, with a few exceptions. But Zen, it just doesn't really work out. He's so easily diveable, and there's always going to be an enemy Genji, and he gets wrecked by Sigma. Brigitte also gets absolutely wrecked by Sigma, her shield being 1/3 of what it was, and Sigma doing so much damage. That's really the only tank that Brigitte loses to right now, and she loses hard. And Baptiste doesn't really lose any matchups. His A field, or his is fantastic. It's so good. I've had games that is really dictated by the immortality field, by which team is utilizing it best, or usually who's utilizing it the most. Who's popping that baby off a cooldown. It's not the greatest thing to do, and you definitely want to save it if you know that there's a big ultimate coming, like Sigma's or Zarya's. Or Reaper, with Reaper, wrecking havoc. I mean, Reaper's always been one of the best characters in the game, and just now I think people are starting to figure it out, just with 222 coming in, and maybe it has to do with Overwatch League putting some spotlight on the Edgelord, where so many people thought he'd never be meta, and boy, could they have not been more wrong. Ana is doing just as well as she was before. She benefits mostly from the 222 rollout, that she's getting her ult a lot faster. She's always going to have 2 tanks, and she's going to be able to have that utility to heal something that a Moira can't or a Baptiste can't, so that you can do that from range. You can heal your Pharahs, you can heal your Genjis, your Wrecking Balls. So if you feel like if someone's running, like, say, a Baptiste, and you don't think Zen is very good, even though you want to put the Harmony Orb on your Tracer or your Wrecking Ball, somebody who really just dives in there, Ana definitely always gets the job done. But Sigma has made life harder, especially since he is very hard to sleep dart because of his grasp that just eats up everything. But Ana can still carry just as much as she could before, with her nade and her dart utility, as well as just her raw healing output. And her dart is more valuable now than ever, with all of these Reapers and Roadhogs, antonating them. Since everybody has to have 2 tanks, and I really have to be picky about the damage characters that they use, I think people are going to get a little bit more smarter in the kinds of characters that they should be using, especially since if you want to, for the first time ever, you really can specialize in a role every single game. If you only want to play healer or tank or DPS in every single game forever, you can do that. And some people would even encourage it, because now you really can focus on that one character or 2 characters if the other gets picked before you can get it, if you really want to. And Ana is in a really great place. She's fantastic. She's the character I try to use the most. But Baptiste is eating into her time and has the highest win rate since he's come out of any of the healers I have been using. I don't always use him, and Ana is more applicable in more situations, but his eye field and his ability to keep up the bunker, whether it be a Bastion or Hog or Orisa, is just unparalleled, obviously, with the eye field and his healing, able to get multiple units, which Ana can't do outside of her own one nade that she has. So Baptiste, especially on defense and especially on 2 CPs, is feeling fantastic on pretty much any map. Where Lucio gets his work is really still just control maps with, the big boop zones. So outside of that, Lucio isn't looking too great. People thought we would see a rise of Reinhardt with his buffs and Orisa's nerf and maybe pairing well with Sigma, or Zarya pairing well with Sigma, but Lucio, just like before, isn't able to get much out of his kit as he does in the top 2%, right? So he's still a very niche pick, and Lucio is along there with them, but all of the healers are viable. Every single one of them. Moira is good, but she, like Ana, actually even more so than Ana, is losing out time to Baptiste, at least for me. Obviously, she's still going to be great for the AoE heals on Control, or maybe even some 2CP spots, but her ability to just out-heal everything is still quite unparalleled. But Baptiste does not run out of resource. He's got the buff to his grenade capacity, and when you put up the eye field in front of something that does big damage, and you just get free healing and just so much charge that you're actually going to be getting your ult even faster than Moira in a lot of cases. Especially if your team is doing very well, he's going to be getting his ult quicker than Moira. But if your team is doing poorly, then Moira is probably going to be getting her coalescence a lot quicker, and that obviously still has its use, even though it's not one of the best ultimates. At least it's still has the healing capability if that's what you need it to do, as long as you throw out a healing orb for yourself just before you activate it, of course. But as you can see on the defense here, where we have a Roadhog and a Sigma, my Baptiste is doing just fine. He doesn't worry about getting dove, and if you saw my last Eichenwald video, he is fantastic at poking out the flankers. He's amazing against Tracer and really good against scaring off Sombra or really anybody. When it comes to Zenyatta, if he misses a shot, on a discorded Genji or Tracer or something, he can be in big trouble very quickly. But Baptiste, he can get in that hit scan damage, he can one burst a Tracer in the head, and if you don't feel confident in your abilities, or if you're low, or if you are in a really pressure situation where your other healer can't peel for you, or your tanks aren't in game chat or something like that, just throw down the eye field and pressure them away. There's nothing that any squishy can do to stop you in a 1v1 when you have the eye field on cooldown. So that's an amazing thing to do. Obviously, if you are throwing down your ultimate and you don't have a shield in front of you, throw down that eye field so that you can pump out the damage while not having to worry about getting killed yourself, or healing without getting killed yourself. So Baptiste is one of the best characters to play right now, and I would say top 2 healers easily, maybe the best healer right now, although not applicable in every situation like Ana is. Although Ana, you could say, might struggle in more close quarters combat, and hopefully Brigitte will be consistently good enough. I haven't got to play enough of her, but as you can see, boom, throw down the eye field and my ultimate, and we're able to get rid of this Bastion bunker, which can just roll through on overtime in a lot of places. So the Reinhardt shield isn't going to last against the entirety of that ultimate coming from Baptiste, so that eye field is just invaluable by getting all the value out of your ult thanks to it, without having to worry about much, because people don't tend to focus down the lamp, and people take too long, in which case the damage is usually already done. Even in just any ordinary team fight without any ult being exchanged, Baptiste can get it done by just tossing down the eye field and giving the team a buffer in order to heal up, with your Moira able to just heal everybody up very, very quickly in conjunction with you or something else. Zen, I really only use him on big maps, big payload maps, where it's going to be harder for me to get dove, but his Discord orb will really help you against some of those big annoying threats like Wrecking Ball. The second biggest threat to Wrecking Ball right behind Brigitte is the Discord orb, and then probably Flashbang. And of course, with all the Reapers out there, it can just be enough to scare them, or, volley him, especially if you can get some space while he's ulting. You know that he's up high ground, and he's not going to really care about you as long as he can get to other people. Peel back, throw the Discord Orb. If you and any other person is shooting towards him, especially in the head, then he's fucked. And of course, at least in my experience, as far as have always had hard times with my Zenyatta, but obviously Ana is going to be not only the best healer, but the best character at dealing with Pharahs, as will be until probably the end of time, or maybe when McCree learns how to play the game and shoot forward, which we know that's not going to happen anytime soon. Obviously, Transcendence and dropping the beat are really the only ways at preventing certain team wipes from happening against that Sigma ult. It is incredible, but completely nullified with those two big support ults, and of course with the ult economy being nerfed again, that is going to be hurting Lucio and Zenyatta the most, since they are the two slowest charging ultimates in the game. It just hurts them even more so. Like even though Lucio was already in a bad spot, now he's even in a much worse spot, because you're not going to be able to get that beat when you're used to or when you need it. While at the same time you could get 2 Coalescences in that time, or 2 Valkyries. So definitely hurting Lucio a ton in that matter, and hurting Zen as well, just not nearly as much. But Mercy's obviously fantastic if you pair up with the Pharah. They're still an unstoppable duo, always have been, always will be in the bottom 98% of games, because it requires teammates and focus fire and communication to nail that down. But Discord Orb obviously can stop that better than most other instances. I'm going to nullify another Sigma ult, and you saw me stop 2 Pharah ults from getting their completions, and I think one of them even saved a couple of teammates from getting finished off by that barrage. And he's always good at taking out those McCrees that are trying to ult from a mile away, and Mercy's always going to have a spot. She's always going to be good. She is a main healer. You can't take that away from her. She's just not good at healing tanks. Thankfully, you have plenty of other choices like Ana, Baptiste, and Moira in order to get that job done. So I wouldn't pair Mercy with Zen. I wouldn't pair Mercy with Lucio in some cases, maybe on some maps, unless you're really confident in each other on your team. And obviously no Lucio Zenyatta, you're just not going to have enough healing. Even though you're going to have great ultimates, you're going to be able to get more out of the consistency of Moira or Ana and your utility with the anti-nade. That still straight out wins team fights, but Zenyatta and Lucio are definitely not doing good. So I would definitely recommend, if you hadn't learned Baptiste or given him a good shot, he is absolutely insane right now, and Ana has been for a while and will continue to be absolutely incredible. And maybe if you were sick of playing Mercy or sick of playing Moira, then Baptiste is going to fill that void for you. Although in more closer quarter matchups, you're going to have a bit more freedom to do with what you want. But now you'll always have 2 tanks and now always have 2 DPS, to where you're going to be able to find that synergy that you need. Oh, we have a Pharah. Boom! I'm going to pick Mercy. I know we're going to have another healer that can heal the rest of the gang, right? Or if you have somebody like Sigma, Zarya, you don't have much out there, you can keep them up with Baptiste by healing them both at the same time, or possibly Moira in a more close quarters combat situation where you can get more value out of that. So healers are doing just fine. It might feel a little bit hard because you have a bit more of a responsibility, because things are a little less nuanced, but you can still get the same exact value out of all the healers that you could before. And while the nerf to the ult economy hurt everybody, now the healers have a bit of more consistency with their team, that kind of actually does make up for it in a lot of cases. But yeah, all the healers available, just Lucio and Zenyatta, not too much.